Nice. And how's the new system going? Is it treating you guys
It's
well?
yeah, it's going well. Everybody likes Paola. They ask for Paola. They want to speak to only Paola, and
Really? That's
so
crazy.
and there's good follow-up with that. Whenever a patient kind of we lose them along the way, she'll, get them back, she'll reel them back in. So it's good.
With this new system, are you finding that the leads that we hand you, more of them are actually replying to you now, where previously they weren't? So you're spending,
Yes.
that is.
Basically, when I'm reaching out to them, they're ready to set up an appointment. They're ready to set up an appointment. They're ready to proceed with the next step. So it's great because I'm not playing phone tag with them. Kind of, the system is doing that for me.
Hmm.
So the process is a lot simpler. And, the ones that are not being scheduled, it's only because they don't have cover. If they're bariatric, they don't have coverage. All of the general surgeries are being, scheduled. So it's actually really good. My opinion, I think that it's great to have, comparing to before when it was just, patients sending us their contact form and me or, the staff here trying to reach out to them. I'm getting a lot more response now.
Hmm.
And, the ones that eventually stop responding to Paola, I've noticed, through messages as I see them coming in, that they'll kind of respond and say, oh, actually, I'm ready,
Hmm.
and, for patients that are maybe like 4 months out that she's been trying to reach them and suddenly they reach back out.
Yeah.
Um, and I also noticed that, the patient has the option of just not, of saying no, don't contact anymore. And I don't see that very often. Even if they're not responding, they're not saying no, don't
Hmm.
respond back. So those are patients that are still in the loop, even if they're not responding, because if they're not completely Xing us out, that
Hmm.
means that either they're still undecided but don't want to commit to it just yet. And those are the type of patients that Paula will send a message to, and eventually they're reeled back. And that's just something that when we were just working it ourselves through the contact page, we didn't have that. I had a whole list of patients that we were never able to contact, either because maybe there was only a phone number and we can never reach back out to them. They didn't provide us an email. And at least with this process, we're always getting an email, we're always getting a phone number. So even if we can't contact them one way or another, if we can't contact them one way, we can always, reach out to them via email. So that's always
Hmm.
nice.
I'm
I mean, what
thinking.
I like most about this, and it's the one thing that, has been taken off my plate, and I think that works really well, is the fact that even if the patient is in the middle of the night, they can't sleep, and all of a
Hmm.
sudden they're Googling, the nice thing is that the AI responds to them. So, and a lot of them kind of just say like, oh, wow, I wasn't expecting a response. And, we're able to grab onto that patient by Monday, that patient is in my bin for me to contact.
Hmm.
And whereas before, I couldn't respond in the middle of the night. So, once I'd reach out to them, let's say if that was on a Saturday, by Monday, sometimes I wouldn't get a response back, from that patient. So, or they decided to, reach out to someone else, and maybe someone else grabbed that before we were able to contact them. So that to me is a lot more valuable. And what I like the most, the fact that from the time that I leave the office, or that I can no longer really communicate with them, because before, I was communicating with them until like 10, maybe 11 p.m., that I would, look at it and communicate with them. But from, like let's say let's just say from 10 p.m. to when I'm in office till 9, the whatever we had gotten, and especially if it was over the weekend and we had a lot of requests, out of like, let's say if on a given weekend we got 10 referrals, I'd probably be able to reach out maybe to 5 of them. And then the other five, when eventually I contact them, maybe one would say, oh, I reached out to someone else and I'm already, I already have an appointment with them. So, sometimes with these patients, unless it's for general surgery, because obviously if it's general surgery, it's because they were referred by someone. So those are, normally more, they're more faithful, I guess, with staying with the one person that they were referred to. But when you are dealing with bariatrics where they can go anywhere, as long as if it's through insurance, that they can go with anybody that accepts their insurance, they're more likely to stick with the person that reaches out to them first, unless they were referred, by a friend or family.